When we eradicate problem gambling, we can get rid of the finite bad and we can focus on the infinite good.
Welcome to the No Line Podcast, the podcast dedicated to responsible gaming. Hosted by Philip Beer. No Line is the podcast where all bets are even. We play no favorites. The best bet is the responsible one. Here's our host, Philip Beer.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the No Line Podcast. Today, I'm sitting with Earle Hall, President and CEO of AXES.AI. Earle, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
And exciting times. Recently, you just donated $150,000 to UNLV's Responsible Gaming Research. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. For us, it's a big deal. I'm sure for the university, it's a modest start. But for us, it's the beginning of a big part of our dream. And more importantly, it's the part where we start to become a contributing factor to remedying and eradicating some of the obstacles that have been holding this industry back from migrating from gambling to actually just entertainment, gaming, and fun. So we're really excited about this.
You said it's part of the dream. Can you describe a little further the inspiration behind this alignment with UNLV?
When we had enough revenue, we wanted to find a university so that we could tap in, contribute, offer our data anonymously, of course, cleaned up so that it would be no use of any competitor or of any of that, but for students to be able to run algorithms over real data. So in other words, when a student in responsible gaming would have a theory, a quantitative theory on how to detect or remedy a problem, they would have real data. In our case, it's 57 billion lines of data that are available that have taken all of the customer information out of it. It's taken everything out that could be a prejudice to our customers. But at the same time, in a very confidential setting, our dream was for students to use our data to find a solution to eradicate addictive gambling and to turn that data into a way for our clients to generate more revenue in a much safer environment.
Can you explain a little further what AXES does?
So very simply put, we're the replacement for the legacy management systems and the operating systems that the casinos use today for all of the different siloed functions that they're carrying out at this time.
Some are familiar with, say, Sightline's partnership with UNLV, Responsible Gaming Department. And we've had Kazra on the podcast before. For those listening or watching, you can check the library of podcasts on iTunes. Or if you're watching the video, you can click the link above and see Kazra's interview. How will, it sounds like then with your data, AXES's data, and UNLV now has access to that data. How is it different than, say, Sightline's data? It's going to make the analysis for UNLV more powerful, it sounds like, having the addition of AXES.
So first of all, what Sightline has accomplished is groundbreaking. And the PhD thesis that is the result of that work is groundbreaking work in our industry, because the payment side of this, the money in and the money out, is definitely the primary trigger to see someone's behavior. Like I said, the two important gates is money in, money out, and Sightline has done incredible work there. The part that we hope to contribute is the quantitative behavioral analysis of the client while they're playing the machine. Because once again, our dream is to eradicate addiction. And the important part that Sightline has done is put the two barriers in. And now what we want to add in is the change in behavior so that we can cut it or snip it right in the bud.
When a company is considering supporting responsible gaming outside of their own organization, like you have done with UNLV, what advice would you give them?
So I would give them the very simple advice is that they're holding in their hand a smartphone. That smartphone is quantitatively tracking their behavior. That smartphone is learning who they are to better serve them. So all of the companies that might be listening to this interview, I only have one request: donate to UNLV. It's very simple. They have an incredible AI program. They have a hyper focus on eradicating addictive gambling with quantitative research. And that only takes one thing. I'm sure there's thousands of students all over the world that would love to sign up for UNLV and be a small part of a very great thing. Because the day our industry eradicates problem gambling, we become one of the greatest entertainment segments of the entire history of the world. So my advice is simple. Whether you're involved remotely or directly on a casino floor, UNLV right now is showing leadership in quantitative research like no other organization worldwide. Get behind UNLV and let's cheer them on. And the way you cheer them on is by writing checks like AXES did.
You made the announcement about a week ago. What has been the early response to your announcement?
It's been very emotional because if you understand the career that I've had, I've spent the majority of my career walking casino floors, respecting our clients, listening to their problems, offering them solutions. But my military eyes see everything. So I see the couple having fun. I see the little old lady that's spending her retirement. I see the alone 60-year-old that's probably betting his house. So my eyes have seen the infinite good and the finite bad. So in the last few days, the calls that I've gotten all over the world, Earle, what are you up to? Why are you doing this? Why is this important? Will it impact negatively casino revenue? There is no chance, by the way. The absolute chance that eradicating problem gambling affects negatively gaming revenue, that's impossible. So I've gotten calls from every part of the world asking why we did it, why is it important, and what's the benefit for the industry. And it's just been a very heartwarming week by something that we wanted to do relatively under the radar. We did the press release to honor our own shareholders because it was a big deal for them to make this contribution. But the feedback so far has been so amazing that the only thing that I can do with it is, once again, is every time somebody gives me exciting feedback, I give them the name to call at UNLV and I say, hey, just get involved. We're in an iconic, pivotal moment in the history of gaming. We have the tools, the technology, and the brain power to be able to make a quantitative difference in how a player is safe so that they can have fun. So just as people back in the 70s, the 60s, and the 70s were iconic parts of building Las Vegas, the same way in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, they were part of building the iconic Macau. Well, right now, globally, we can all be part of something that for hundreds of years from now, everybody's going to look back and say, that was the pivotal moment. Like when we switched from the horse to the car. The research that UNLV is doing now is that pivotal moment. And everybody that gets involved is going to have a place of pride for years to come, knowing that we all gave that extra push to eradicate gambling and to empower gaming.
For those watching or listening, a link or the notes as far as who to contact at UNLV will be listed. Earle, this has been great. Any other final thoughts before we say farewell?
I actually do. The most important part for me in all of this is making sure my team gets their shout outs. So there's about 75 people around the world that work absolutely incredible hours doing crazy things to make this dream work. So once again, Access is not a person, it's not a company, it's a culture and a collectivity of human beings that really deeply cares. So my last word is the most important word I could say, and it's thank you to the Access team worldwide. They're just the most special people that I've ever worked with my entire career.
Lastly, is there a favorite book that you gift to others the most?
I have a lot, but if it's psychology, it's definitely The Values Proposition by Dr. John D. Martini. If you want to learn how to do solution sales, it's called The Power to Get In. And one of the books that I oblige everybody that's around me to read is The Tipping Point, because it teaches you human behavior. So those three books are basic staples in my world. So those three I always recommend. If you want to be a great leader, please read The Value Proposition by Dr. John DeMartini. It teaches you how the human brain works.
Earle, excellent. Thank you so much.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
Thanks for listening to the No Line Podcast, hosted by Philip Beer. For a complete list of past episodes, visit iTunes or www.nolinepodcast.com. That's www.nolinepodcast.com. Interested in being a guest on the No Line Podcast or sharing your organization's responsible gaming story? Send an email to philip@nolinemedia.com. The No Line Podcast is committed to responsible gaming. The No Line Podcast is a Philip James Media production.